Hello everyone and welcome to Cosmere Connections. We're a collective of book-loving nerds rereading Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere series. From book 1 to book 16 million, we'll be uncovering every secret connection there is to find. Today we have Swiggity Swoo.
What book are we on at this point? Are we close to 16 million?
Who knows? John.
I have nothing more to add to the subject.
Kay.
Hello, hello.
And I'm ReaderWarrior, and today we have a very special guest, the LiteraryTrope.
Hey, everyone.
Welcome. And today we are going to be covering Shadows of Self, chapters 12, 13, and 14. And I believe our wonderful guest has the first chapter.
Yeah, we have a lot of excitement here. You guys gave me a good one.
Yeah.
So we're right after the disturbance at the party and our crew starts investigating. We get to play my favorite game, Guess the Kandra. We have Wax, after the ominous warning about something that's going to happen to a father, decides to relocate Lord Harms to a safe location. He's trying to figure out, again, who Bleeder was referring to since his own father is dead. Wayne just overall just starts being a jerk to Steris, who is very much in her feelings about it and feeling left out and realizing that as close as she was to Wax earlier in the night, he has this complete other side of his life that she has nothing, she knows nothing about. So Wax tracks down the governor and reveals that there were two Kandra at the party. They develop some passphrases and talk about security. And that's when they find out that the father was actually our poor father Ben, a Survivorist priest, who was strung up with nails through his eyes after a Pathian priest gave a rant in front of 1,000 people in a congregation, who are now extremely traumatized. Mercy then proposes that the murders and the city's unrest are connected. Wax agrees and then invites her to, meet a special person who might shake her religious beliefs.
Awesome.
No one got shot, and that's the surprising part about this chapter.
Mm-hmm. Especially considering they left Wayne alone as the sole officer.
Yeah. I think we should have given Steris a gun, and then maybe that would have changed.
Potentially. Let's see. Going back. Yeoman Street, reference to good old Yeoman.
Oh, if anyone doesn't remember, Father Ben, who gets killed in this chapter, was actually the survivorist priest that Steris was talking about having at her and Wax's wedding.
Yep.
For the one to marry them.
Yep.
Oh, man.
That's a tiny detail. It in fact escaped my attention.
Let's see. Lord Harms has a semi-automatic pistol, which I actually looked it up, were created in 1892, John.
Well, there you go.
I thought that was hilarious that Wax rolls up and Harms is like, where have we got him? Where are they at? I got it. And then pulls out his guns and he's like ready to go.
And there's like no.
What's really messed up is that that was such a Marassi thing to do, and then he's just completely like, I only have Steris, right? That's the only daughter I care about.
Yeah, it's like, and then he probably wonders where Marassi gets this from.
And then you have literally the worst Wayne chapter section, I think, in the... Wayne is a horrible person here to Steris.
He's such a turd. Oh my gosh. That's why I said we need to give Steris a gun. She deserves to shoot him at least once. Give her the scene with Renette.
Renette gives her the gun. She's like, no, you'll feel better. He'll heal. Here you go.
She's wearing black underwear to prepare to get launched to the top of this tower, but she's not packing.
Oh.
And deny Wax the opportunity to romantically come to her rescue? I think she's more into that idea.
That's fair.
You need a contingency.
She does.
A girl's got to be prepared, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Her response to this just completely broke my heart, though. Because she's sitting here and she's like, I can't plan for this man. And when I try to plan to accommodate him and make his life easier, he's even more horrible to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have this moment where she sits down and it says she pretends to be someone else. And I wonder, I'm like, where is Steris's happy place? Does she have a happy place?
Not with Wayne.
Not with Wayne.
Yeah, that was rough. Everybody has that experience of dealing with somebody difficult, somebody whom you probably would never interact, but because they're close to someone you care about, you're like doing everything you can, and they just won't give you the
Yeah.
benefit of the doubt. Like, and in her situation, like being a woman and him being crass and just all of it, it's like it's super gross. And like, yeah, I definitely felt that.
Mhm. Well, especially because, like, in the last sections that we read, like, her and Wax had such a happy, like, moment together where he was, like, genuinely liking her for who she is. And they were, like, getting along, and then to have Wayne come in and just be such an ass
Poop all
to
over
her. And just
They are
This
like
is
polar
really the
opposites.
worst we've seen him be to her ever.
yeah.
Mhm. Like they had that jokey little where he calls her crazy and then he calls him crass something at the beginning of the book.
An idiot. He says
She calls him idiot.
Yeah, he says, "Hello, crazy," and she goes, "Hello, idiot."
But then you get this.
Which that feels like kind of like, oh, haha, like jokey a little bit.
A little bit,
But
except
like,
now we know that
Retext-wise.
it's very much not.
yeah.
Also, I was like starting to fall in love with Steris more in this chapter because, you know, you're starting to see that she's analyzing Wayne, which, like, honestly, I don't know if anybody else besides Wax is capable of. Like, everyone else is baffled by him, but she's like starting to break him down and is like more aware of that, of his characteristics. And
Mhm.
actually, just another good example of how we get to see her fleshed out in this book.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they are fairly polar opposites. Wayne is literally like the embodiment of chaos and energy, and while Steris is pretty much just order, needing everything to fit in the box, and they are unable to work together.
I was curious about
But it's
something
true
else in
because
this
they really
chapter.
are both planners, right? They really are, because Wayne is always showing up with 3 different costume changes, scoping out his exit and how he's going to get in.
That's a
Yeah.
very good point.
And they both.
But he never thinks long term. Steris only thinks long term.
They're both part of Wax's support system too.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yeah.
in terms of their, relationship to him, like them getting along and having that, like it's kind of like the reason they don't like each other is because they both kind of want the same thing. It almost feels like.
Yeah, they both want Wax to be happy, but like Wayne is convinced that like Steris is not going to make Wax happy.
More
And
importantly, I think he's convinced that she's going to take over as his like number one guy.
yeah.
I think he's really worried about getting pushed out.
Yeah. I think that that's fair.
I mean, his life revolves around Wax. We saw in the most recent chapters, like he literally like went into a ditch and was gonna die.
Well, and
Was
he
wanting to
knows
die.
that if Wax goes into Steris's world, that there's not a place for him there.
Mhm. The tower that Harms is dropped off is called Feeder Tower. It is named after Mosh Feeder, Brandon Sanderson's editor at Tor.
That's a fun fact.
At one point, Innate calls him a ruffian, but spelled as in rough, IAN, which I thought was a funny little detail.
Because he's from the Roughs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, usually
that
it's
is fun.
FFIAN. And here it's like an
Yeah.
extra. I liked it. It was a little detail.
No, I think that that's fun. I think that's definitely fun.
It is appropriate, yes?
Then you've got Father Bin and Conventicalist. So I have a little thing about Conventicalist. The one time we saw a conventicle in Era 1, it was a torture building, basically.
Conventicle of Saren, right?
Yeah. So to have like the priests named that worship Kelsier and by connection preservation in the mist to be related to that is kind of a bit weird.
I was curious about that too. Like, do they call them conventicalists interchangeably with survivorists? Like, I noticed that too.
So the priests are called conventicalists. The ones who are
that is so
in
weird.
charge versus the people who worship are, like, in general, are survivorists. It's like you call like people who are Catholic like Catholics, but then you have like the priests and the bishops and like things like that.
Clergy.
And the clergy. Like, you have the different names for them.
Okay, this one's a bit long. Brandon once interacted with fan and author VM Jeskernia. I am butchering these names. On Reddit after reading a portion of her unpublished book novel titled Larkspur, A Necromancer's Romance. She received positive feedback from Brandon and later published the book, at one point accidentally spelling the title Larkspur on a Reddit thread. This interaction occurred before the publication of Shadows, and it's possible the character Larkspur is intended as a cameo. That being the Pathian that definitely wasn't Bleeder in disguise.
I wondered why that name was so weird. I was like looking at it, I'm trying to parse it. Like, how are you supposed to pronounce this?
Larkspur.
Yeah, that's funny. That's interesting.
We then learn that survivorism is basically Scadrian Catholicism or Christianity. And the part where the annoyance I have with these conventicalists just being like, oh, they don't follow a set of guidelines. Pathians are just wild. They don't have rules. They don't dress up to worship. Just sent me back to when I was in like Catholic school. I had a priest one time who, this was fairly recent. I actually really didn't like the priest. And he did a whole sermon on mocking other religions, and he basically dumbed them down to their core tenet and like, oh, you can't do this one because that just means freedom and or inner peace, and if you want inner peace this way, then that means you can do it however you want, and that's messed up. And it was just like, the same thing can be said for our religion, where forgiveness means everything, where if I want to go stab somebody, I say, hey, forgive me, stab, you're good. Stupid, annoying thing that this really got to me. I really did not like Survivorists here.
That was a big...
Well, and never mind the fact that their entire like religious dogma is completely just made up, and it happened in 300 years.
Based around the guy who died.
Not even. Tell me Kelsier ever went to church.
They didn't have churches.
He went to the Church of Kelsier.
How could he? He died.
I mean, I think that they're pretty in line with who Kelsier was as a person, right? Like, he tried to say he was this man of the people, but he definitely saw himself as above the ska. He wasn't out there roughing it.
No, certainly not.
But they did the sign of the spear and dip their hands in mist. I was just like,
He was careless. Like, um, he didn't really set up a religion. He just orchestrated the revolution because he was angry his wife died, and well, all a bunch of other reasons. But like the part of like making himself into a religious figure seemed more like a means to an end, eh, which in my mind is just a little bit careless compared to like, you know, Harmony's virtues. And like even I was thinking about what you said about that speech, and like a lot of Harmony's, the great thing of that um realization that that character has is that all of these religions have contradictions, and those contradictions are what make them beautiful. And like having all of that knowledge and having all of these things researched, and the beauty of like individuality, it is like the point of it all. It's like, I don't know, I love Kelsier, but comparing these two things and seeing how it all ended up, it like, I don't know, gives me bad taste in my mouth with him.
was
Well,
an
it's not
interesting. After you.
I think it's interesting too because we see, these well-dressed, obviously probably wealthy people going to this giant building to worship versus Miles, who the way he saw to worship was, eat the rich, right? Take down the corrupt. And so I think it's a very interesting comparison too of the two spectrums within one religion.
Yeah. And I even liked the differences between like survivorism and pathism, Pathianism. Pathianism. Or like in survivorism, you go to like this inner building and you protect yourself from the mist, basically, but you still worship it. I'm just joking. Whilst Pathians have like an open door policy where they let the mist come in, and while the survivors make like a big deal. Here, you just sit at a chair and you talk to God. I love the two dichotomies of it, and of course, the one that is the more popular one is like, hey, they're weird, right? For not having, rules or a guideline. The survivor's state mark, where that is. Moving on a bit, there's a line about Kelsier ascending we will come back to. Aradel's wife taking his smokes away and then just leaving the note of there's a banana.
That was funny.
Totally hilarious. And that's all I got for chapter 12.
I do
Anybody
think
else?
it's interesting that they make the comment, I don't do exorcisms. And talking a little bit about Catholicism, I'm curious what an exorcism on Scadrial would be like. Or why they're even using this word, or like why they would have a reason to do it.
What's the opposite of a spike?
See, the thing is, like, imagine, like, I could see, like, with the history and mythology of Ruin taking control and doing things, there could be not a demon possesses you, but maybe you have the fingers of Ruin compelling you and could lead the way to the term of exorcism in that ideology. But yeah, I mean, at one point they reference like wisps and ghouls and
I think
things.
Yeah, just
mythology is weird.
It's
Scadrian cryptozoology.
It feels like something I would actually love to see in the future. Like
An exorcism?
Sure, no, but
Yeah.
like more people misinterpreting the use of investiture as superstition, and like kind of leaning into that would be funny and interesting.
Yeah, another thing that seemed odd to me is in this scene, we get the reveal of Father Ben nailed to the wall through his eyes. And she looks at him and it talks about how this all looks faintly familiar. And my thought was, you were meeting up with Death Girlie, like at the end of the last book.
Yeah.
You saw old Iron Eyes face to face. And so I'm like, what's happening here? And then of course my brain was like, did something happen to your memory? Was there interference? But I thought it's interesting that she's looking at the wall and is like, I don't know where I know this from.
For me, it just reminded me of when Eisen was killed in Bleach.
What she really knows it from is the very beginning of the first book, because that's how Bloody Tam killed his victim to lure Wax in. He pinned him to the wall, posed them.
That is true.
So you're right, yeah, it was definitely a message there. But I just thought it was interesting how she's like, I don't know how I know this.
That's probably why. The memory of a story.
Totally.
Yeah, because she never saw the scene itself. She just read the report.
And that's assuming Wax, was very detailed in that specific report, or because I don't think Wax would have been very talkative about that mission.
Yeah, he probably wasn't very detailed in that report.
I wonder how much people think about or look at images of Steel Inquisitors.
Well, we know sliverism still exists.
You got to think they're probably not really celebrated.
Well,
I mean, they
the
also
only
think that Kandra are myths.
yeah, they think that Kandra are myths. They also think that Marsh, like Iron Eyes, is part of their mythology. Like they don't think that he's a real, like,
Right.
person, like still like walking around. That's what like Marasi is like really shocked to like see him.
And they're like, nobody's ever really confirmed that, the Kandra are like, they're stories. We know they existed, but nobody's ever really seen one, or the only people who do are drunks at a bar. Which begs the question, what happened to all the Mist Wraiths?
Well, they're still about, because, like, Wax knows about them when he's talking to MeLaan in the previous chapters. Because she explains that, if you pull them out, we become a Mist Wraith. So they have to still be around, or at least understood.
Just makes me wonder if, like, either there's instead of like cows, ranch hands have like pens of Mist Wraiths, which is horrifying. Or maybe the Kandra took as many of them as they could back underground to the homeland or wherever they live now.
They're probably chasing them off like coyotes, because they're scavengers.
Yeah.
Bloody Mist Wraiths.
I mean, there's
Anything else?
things in the rust now for them to eat, so.
True.
I
Not
actually
so
almost
much
hit
in-
one on my way to work the other day.
Jeez. Okay, everybody go with chapter 30.
Yes.
Okay, this one's mine. So, Wayne is heading to church, keeping in the theme that carries over. He's heading into church, and it's this beautiful church, but everybody inside of it is really sad and depressed. And he looks up at this glorious mural of his god, who is in fact Breeze, and it is revealed that this church is actually a pub. And he sees all the people who are downtrodden and upset because Ellendel's going to crap right now. And he just starts mixing drinks. Literally, that's all he does. He takes two people's drink, and I believe he makes a rum sour, because the only things they really list are rum, sugar, lemon. We don't know what's in the other guy's drink.
Well, rum, sugar, and lime makes a daiquiri, so it's kind of a daiquiri.
I looked it up, the ingredients, and it was either like a rum daiquiri or rum sour. This is hilarious considering I don't drink and Brandon does not drink. So this whole section is really weird for me to be covering and him to have been writing. And so he's mixing these drinks, and everybody's getting happy, because the best way to get people happy is to give them something new. And he even remarks, like, he doesn't just change their orders, he adds to it, he improves it. Some could say he ruins it a bit. And then at one point, this like 6 foot something beautiful woman is like, give me my drink. And he has this random blue powder, which I don't even know what it is, but he traded it. I can only guess it's like the blue meth from Breaking Bad. In the drink swirl, and you see the drink change color, and the woman drinks it, and then her skin changes the color as well, or at least her cheeks. And Wayne is a bit confuzzled until her eyes does it, and I realize, oh, this is the Kandra Wax was telling me about. And it is MeLaan, the wonderful fifth. Seventh. I knew it was on the odds.
She's the seventh generation.
And that's about it for that section. Anything for that part?
She is such the drama and such an icon, and I adore her complete lack of chill.
Yes.
She is. I love an optimistic immortal that's just like happy and quirky. And it's weird to say, but like you can
I'm
tell
not supposed to kill people. Oops.
Yeah. Oops. Don't tell Tensoon. Don't tell my dad. Tell my dad that I killed
Don't
people.
tell God. Don't tell Tensoon.
Yeah. Who is
God
basically
knows.
her father, who raised her. She's like, please don't tell my dad, essentially.
He really doesn't like it when I do it.
Yeah.
Which means she's under control.
Yes, she's definitely done it before.
But then, bit of a time skip. Wax, Marasi show up, and apparently, I don't know if Wayne convinced MeLaan to get into it or MeLaan convinced Wayne to get, but they're having a burp off. And it's going well, except for poor Marasi, who is just in utter shock that an immortal of demigod proportions is Wayne 2.0.
Honestly, what I bet happened was that Wayne burped first, and then expected, because he was expecting MeLaan to be like grossed out by it and like weirded out, because that's typically what people would do. And then she instead continues burping herself, and then they just start going back and forth.
Yeah, that seems likely. She's like, you're a bit weird for a immortal. She's like, well, would you like to see like Vendel or some other? They're really hoity-toity. I can bring them over. And it's revealed that she was the one who gave Wax his Pathian earring. And also, she has a true body still, because she is most comfortable in her true body.
This podcast is sponsored
this
by
whole
True
time,
Body, by the way.
Have your own today.
Discount code in the description.
And so this whole time, Wayne is starting to stack coasters. And so MeLaan starts to stack coasters. And so they're talking about Bleeder, and he's basically saying, you need to remove the spike. That's the only way to win. You capture her, remove the spike. We don't want to kill her because we're basically going extinct. There's only about 300 of us left. And even though one may be bad, survival of the species still should have some weight. And so the barmaid brings over more coasters. Wax starts building. And they get in. Wax gets into a little bit of debate where it should not matter what the person's background is. And then Wayne just tells him, yo, take a breath, be human. Not that human.
I am human.
And so,
dude, have some empathy.
Have some empathy. And let me pull up the thing. I don't remember how the rest of it goes. Oh, MeLaan basically says, okay, we've got one thing. Here's 2 little vials of Kandra in which you need to be 100% sure that it's a Kandra you're going to be subjecting these to. Otherwise, it will kill the human. Kind of useless, kind of not, maybe, who knows. She reveals that Palm Bleeder was the personal favorite Kandra of the Lord Ruler, and that she was constantly on mission, and that it is fairly close on who is the better shapeshifter between her and Tensoon. There's a funny little story how Wayne used to collect bottles just to annoy Wax, to the point where even Wayne was sick of it. And then there's this really nice, this whole chapter, this section is a really nice, words, English, difficult. It's a really nice focus on Wax and Wayne as their own 2 different people, where you've got Wax, who has the skill to make his tower and make it work as perfect as he does, whilst Wayne cheats at the beginning and sort of builds off of that. And you get this really nice focus on what their characters are like.
Yeah, Wayne builds his tower, like Wax is trying to win the game, and Wayne is trying to outsmart Wax. Like, it's awesome. Wayne is like such a people person, you know. He doesn't.
But the game isn't to build a tower. It's to see if he can keep Wax from guessing how he is building the tower.
That's right.
And so it really kind of ties into how Wax and Wayne's relationship kind of works. And then they leave the pub, and I love the part where Wax takes Wayne over to pay the tab, and they're like, nah, it's good. And he's like, oh boy, what happened here?
Yeah, he's like, I know that something happened with Wayne before I came in. Don't believe that he actually paid for all of the drinks, so I'm gonna go make sure that he actually did.
And so they head out. Marasi and MeLaan are sent to the precinct to learn things, and Wax orders Wayne to go back to the governor's mansion and team split. That's
I just
it.
had a realization in that detail of like, oh, then they have to go and make sure Wayne paid for all the drinks. Like, Wayne is like their storm that they have to clean up after sometimes.
Very much.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. The only other thing I really got is MeLaan comments how it was called the remarked duplicity is what the Kandra referred to, Tensoon, coming back and saying, oh, the end of times is here. I don't know how I feel about that one.
I love just all the dramatic names and titles. And I want to know if they had a meeting where they're like, what's the most dramatic name we can use for this? Because in my brain, like, Breeze is leading that meeting.
Oh, half the names have to be from Breeze. The other, fifth has to be from Spook. To bother Breeze, I'm willing to bet. He's like, I can make stupider names, but the people like me more.
And Marsha's just like, I'm going to be Death. Why not, right?
I mean, if you're going to be a part of mythology, you might as well go big.
I just want to know if they're teaching classes in High Imperial and how weird and funny that would sound.
Oh, there are 100% classes at the university on High Imperial.
I raised you 2 different classes. One is basically the cursive/typing class, depending upon which generation you are, you had to take. That's learning High Imperial. The other one is analysis of Spook's High Imperial, and what the heck did he mean when he said, wasn't the need of the bathroom?
Ever the wanting of the knowing of knowledge, or something like that.
Anything else for chapter 13? Wiggity, I believe you have the final chapter of the night.
That's right. You'll find my summary is pretty concise, as was the objective. But
I go on too many tangents.
that's okay. I appreciate it. I appreciate the notes and all that. So chapter 14. Wax flies high again to find Pathians attacked. Rescues old lady, humiliates riot boy, learns there are 2 perps, possibly the set. To their carriages he goes, using his station, interrogates them to conspiracy unmasked, allomancy crime, as well as a lead. Bleeder's cab driver is found, soothing on the clock. Carriage 16, too. But that's all for Wax right now. Any comments, guys?
Did you try to like put that into like a rhythm? Like
dynamic verse or something?
Like it kind of, that's what it kind of sounded like. I'm just, this side note. Like, it's not a haiku.
Okay. Ashweather, carriage, and coach. Direct descendant from Set himself.
I find it hilarious that Wax does not like the Sets.
Any of the Sets family?
Any of the Set family, because he is also directly related to the Set family. He is also technically part of the Set family.
Does he like anyone though?
Not really.
Staring?
I mean,
it's just
very much not want to be there. I mean, he left town for a reason.
That's true.
But I just find that funny that he's like so like against them, and I'm like, this is literally your family, my dude. Like
that's your uncle in a way.
Yeah, your cousin.
Okay, the soothing and writing parlors. I love this detail. I love when magic just becomes common base, and I thought it was an awesome detail. Like how, like the soothing and writing, the fact that they have like coin shot runners. That is a really fun detail.
Yeah, and
the fact that they use soothers to drum up people, which is illegal.
It was a nice little. It was a nice little scoop of the world. Like, you know, he's just going down there, and it's just another step to find this guy. But it's like we learn all about these soothing parlors and like the little crime they're doing where they're like riding people on the street to feel more tired and to like need a carriage and stuff, and like how that's actually illegal because this, the anti emotional allomancy act of 94 or whatever. Like I love that stuff.
I feel like it would be so easy to essentially get into a witch hunt over emotional allomancy.
Ooh, yeah.
Because you could never prove someone was burning, probably. Especially like in court. And so I'm just curious if there's a ton of discrimination against, emotional allomancers.
Well, we saw in the last book, like there was a politician that won because they were a copper cloud, and so therefore could not get affected emotionally.
Apparently the aluminum hats is a thing too.
Yeah.
Also, but aluminum is rare.
I did kind of get a sense that like rioters would be a big problem. Like probably the the biggest like potential issue of all the metal born.
I feel like rioters are superior to soothers.
I think rioters are like the top tier allomancers for me. It really is the most useful ability you can have.
Oh, if we're doing all, I would say lurching, rioting. Those would be my two. Like, writers can make you feel one emotion without having to distill all of your other emotions. Like, if they want you to be tired, they just have to riot tiredness. Don't ask me how that works.
I mean, you can be
I'm curious
mentally.
'cause
It has to already be there a
Harmony
little
could have
bit.
just been like find a writer or a soother, do this to all your suspects, boom, you found the Kandra.
Potential. But we know that
Huh.
writers and soothers don't have that level of power, and since there are no Mistborn, they can't do a Duralumin. Why don't they just get a Duralumin, not a Nicro cell?
Yeah.
A Nicro booster. Just like start. Dang it. Discovered a plot hole. Okay, but Swiggity, other POV. Quick, distraction.
Mercy, MeLaan.
I mean, we'll just say that the third generation is so powerful that doesn't work on them.
Or Allomancy's gotten so weak it wouldn't matter nowadays.
I mean, they don't even know, like, don't even really believe in these creatures, some people. Do they know about that little trick?
I feel like it's safer than just inject someone with this random substance.
I'm guessing that the Kandra don't want that getting out.
Yeah, I don't think Sazed would reveal that.
Like that is not something that I think Harmony or any of the Kandra would want anyone to know that this is possible.
Yeah,
so
that's also
I
true.
think yeah.
That was a big deal.
So the question is, was it in Death's notebook about that weakness?
Somebody might have to Google that. I don't know, or somebody might have to ask.
Probably it hasn't been mentioned, so like I feel like if it was in Death's notebook, it would have been mentioned in this.
I can see the argument for, but also, yeah, but also they don't have a writer nor a Necro booster, so why would they even bring it up?
Yeah, they should really get one of those.
Yeah,
would have found someone.
Yeah, they could have used the carriage peoples. All right.
But how do you know that carriage person is a leader?
Well, that problem would solve itself. But
If a Contra can now do Allomancy and Ferochemy, I mean, that was how Vin was able to figure out it wasn't half of the crew back in Well of Ascension.
I guess it wouldn't solve itself. You just ride around all day riding people and never find. Yeah. Mercy, MeLaan, and a bunch of tactics gear at the constables set the tone for now. MeLaan attracts attention, Mercy takes blame. The sword is a storm too sharp for them to weather, so they attack her. The sword meaning Wax. Eventually, they do win, accessing the files. Researching the dam, they find out bleeders to blame. Most likely, that is. That's all for 14. All the most important parts. I missed some small stuff, but you got it. Basically, they go back to the constables. They're kind of given a hard time, but they're trying to find out if there's any leads at the dam. And because it appears as though the grave of the suspect of the person who sabotaged the dam was robbed, like pretty soon after they buried her. They're like, oh my god, we think it's a conjure, and we think that they let themselves be buried alive and then escaped.
Yeah, I did think that was interesting that Marcy was like, would she like really do that? And MeLaan is like, yeah, she is nothing if not dedicated to her craft.
The role is all that matters.
We love an artist. We love an unhinged woman.
We learned that Kolos warlords are a thing. I still don't agree about the Sazed non-binary thing. Kelsier. Okay, so they talk about Kelsier taking.
So sorry, but I'm gonna go back to that for real quick, just because of the fact that, like, quite literally, like, part of the prophecy, like, for the Hero of Ages, like, was that they wouldn't, like, fit into either world. So
Yeah,
like it's just continuing with that thought. Like
I didn't like it then. I still don't agree with it now. That's not what like
Like,
non-binary is.
True.
Mhm.
and I feel like that's a term that's been used for him, right? Like that's not an identifier that we've ever heard him use himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like even MeLaan is like referring to Sazed as himself at one point. And I
Yeah.
like the detail that since it's her point of view and Harmony is not her god, the H is not capitalized, whilst in like Wax's POVs it is.
Interesting.
We also learned that apparently between the moment when Ye Old Preservation died to when Vin took up the power, Kelsier held it for a brief time. Okay.
What's up with that?
Yeah.
Well, we know he talked to Spook at the end, ish, and that he told Sazed that, hey, make Spook a Mistborn. Good on Ghost Kelsier, I guess. I think he's looking up. He's definitely in the bad place.
Sloop. War crimes. So many war crimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the murder. What murder? And then this really politically charged comment how the people who are being oppressed don't like change, partially due to even though their situation is horrible, they don't want to risk it getting worse, and so they allow a horrible situation to continue.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
I'm
was
just going to take a quick look out the window and uh-huh.
Not problematic at all. Well, it's also interesting we're seeing a society where Harmony set it up where the land is super fertile, right? Like all of the trees in the city have to have fruit, and yet the price of food is skyrocketing.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have a system that's behaving the complete opposite of what it was supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
it's you know, I have to be honest. When I first read these books, like I wasn't as touched by these parts of the plot. It was kind of the backdrop, and I was more interested in the characters and what was going on, but like damn, this time around, like I am really feeling all this stuff. It is hitting hard, and it's like it's crazy. It's crazy the things that we take for granted, and I guess I mean that in the sense of my fiction as well. Like Brandon Sanderson has been writing this and touching these subjects for a long time, and I'm like so proud to be a fan of his.
Mm-hmm.
Also has a lot to say about restorative justice in this series that I think people weren't really talking about enough when they first came out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
But at the same time, like you have Wax, who's the king of like capital punishment here. So
Yeah.
like he doesn't get everything right, but like when he nails it, it always helps. It hits home with me.
Like in chapter 12, when he enters the survivors' church, and Marasti's just like, he's exactly what a cop should be, but also not. And it's like, can you imagine if every single person who wanted a badge was given a badge and free reign to do whatever they want, and how chaotic that would be? And the reason we don't have that is so we can have natural protections and stuff.
I mean, it shows you that still in this society, there's power in being a Nepo baby.
Also,
half the government is being picked from the nobles,
yeah,
and only half of it's being elected by the common man. The system is already set up to fail.
I don't understand why Spook did that. I don't. Because the world got rebooted, right? So there was no, we have to keep Luthadel together. There's no, we have to everybody work together, because everybody has to work together when there's literally no buildings, no nothing. So who was he appeasing with that?
I think it's something that just naturally happens when you come into power and you're not used to having it.
Yeah,
Because we all, they say that people act and we vote aspirationally.
and he was basing the ideas off of what Elend did in Luthadel.
Mhm.
Like that's what he knew for government. So it makes sense that this is what he would continue to do. Like
Even though that system failed, right? It failed,
Yeah.
and then you had a very sudden seizure of power.
Yeah.
And then there doesn't seem to be any sort of like meeting in the middle and course correction. So, I mean, maybe that's what happens when you are in a new world and you don't have any idols anymore. He had no one to consult. And so I guess he just went back to what the last thing he knew.
Helen was the foremost leader on governments. I mean, he was stuck with Ham and Breeze. You know what? That explains everything perfectly. That's literally the government right there.
Harmony's like, we have to have every tree have a fruit. And Breeze is like, as long as I get to ferment it.
Actually, the government is like a harmony in of itself. Dang it, I hate that it makes sense. Okay. That's everything I think we got for this chapter set. Anybody got like general notes?
Just like again the sense of rising tension, and just they were like walking through the constable's office and there was like military gear everywhere, and yeah, just
They had like the helm and the rifles.
yeah, she's like, I didn't even know we had this stuff. I was like, oh yeah, we got it.
I mean, it's almost like, sorry.
Well, it's the other side of like revolution, in Final Empire, for example, we're totally on the other side of it. We're like you're like the rebelling your POV characters are the ones rebelling, and they're the ones in the other's shoes, and it's a totally different situation, but it's kind of cool to see it from the other way around. And it's interesting to watch a character like Oradell, who at the beginning of this I thought was maybe a little bit more corrupt when he was talking about like, oh, we need to do our jobs and look past the fact that the mayor might be corrupt. But like as we're seeing him kind of talk with Marcy in some of these chapters, I think there's a little bit more depth to him than that, and it ends up being more about keeping the peace. And like I think it's a really interesting kind of tipping point in the book where you don't really know how things are going to go, and like especially with the new aspect of like the religious crimes and like you thought it was just like a rogue killer, and now it's like this whole revolution being planned. Like, yeah, pretty cool chapter set for that.
And we see in this chapter set, like, he does not necessarily like nobles or metalborn just coming in and doing whatever they want.
Same.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Well, next time we're going to be covering chapters 15, 16, and 17, I believe. Yep, that's correct. But for now, it is time to head into the spoiler realm. So if you have not finished this book, the entire series, or potentially the entire Cosmere, then we recommend you stop here because it is likely that we will talk about everything and anything. If you are caught up, feel free to stick around because it's likely we will bring up details one may have missed or plot threads still yet to come. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, star, heart, whatever it is on this podcast, and don't be afraid to comment your own thoughts and predictions. We would love to hear from you. Our wonderful guest, LiteraryTrope, is there anything you would like to showcase or share on our tiny little sphere of influence?
Now that we can jump into spoilers, right?
Almost.
Very, very soon. We're almost.
Okay, so people don't get angry at us now. Okay.
No, right.
So
Wait. Just pimp out your socials or whatever you want to do. Where can people find you?
I am the same everywhere, LiteraryTrope, spelled correctly. And just for anyone still listening, please follow these guys on YouTube, just so you know that YouTube's monetization schedule pretty much doesn't give anyone credit for any of the ads that runs on their content unless they meet a certain threshold of followers. So a really easy way to support your favorite creators, please go to our YouTube and give them a follow so that YouTube pays them what they deserve for the ads already running on their content.
Heck yeah.
But this was part, then my name is ReaderWarrior, and I have been joined by our wonderful guest, LiteraryTrope, as well as Swiggity Swoo.
Hey, also leave a comment too. I would love it if we got some comments, like asking us questions. That would be really fun to answer some of you guys' questions, or lob some like criticism our way. Screw it, I can take a punch. just kidding, be nice.
John?
I mean, I have nothing further to say on the subject.
Again. And Kay.
Have a good one.
And don't forget, there's always another connection. Bye. And we're back. Spoilers.
You guys may now spoil the bejesus out of this book.
Now I'm ready.
Yeah.
Spoiler cap?
Spoilers. So,
Is there a aluminum in that?
nothing, anything published, you are allowed to spoil. If it is, and like old stuff that he's talked about, you are free to do so. But something that is up, Fires of December, no.
Darn it, I was about to spoil something from that last chapter.
No preview chapters for Wind and Truth, everybody.
So I decided to go into this reread with an intention of things I wanted to pay more attention to. And I think that was something that came up in these chapters is I want to know what went down between Harmony and Kelsier.
Totally.
Yeah, clear.
And why Marsh is siding with Kelsier.
Is he?
I mean, I think the notebook proved it. I mean, it's like you handed over a notebook of these like super sketchy things over not even to Wax, but to Marcy to give to Wax because you're like,
Wax will
Wax would
shoot
shoot
me.
me on sight, but he does my brother's work. And then we have a moment earlier where Harmony is talking to Wax, and like Wax is being sarcastic with God, and Harmony goes, I haven't had this since Kelsier, and I forgot the rest of the sentence, but like he trails off. So I'm like, something went down between those two. And I wonder if that's been if that has influenced at all the clash we're starting to see between these two religions.
I don't know if it influenced the clash between the two religions because I feel like Kelsier like is very like hands off with the survivorist religion. Like he honestly like I don't think he's had like anything to really do with its creation where it's like conception like anything that's gone on with it since like he was killed. Like
He will make the knife, he will
in
use the knife, he will drop the knife, and will never think about it again.
yeah. But I definitely think that I'm guessing that what kind of has to do with it is probably the fact that like Sazed is being influenced by the powers and is no longer the person that Kelsier was friends with.
I
So
trust.
and
Like,
so Kelsier sees this and is like, well, like you're not the person that I was friends with anymore. So I don't really trust you the same way anymore. Because I don't think that you're going to have my back because you don't act. And Kelsier, we know Kelsier. He's very action, like forward. And like Harmony, we've seen is not.
not explicit, yes.
Not explicit action.
Yeah.
And I
Two
think
things.
Kelsier doesn't like that.
Yeah. One is there was a recent WOB, I think at Dragonsteel, where somebody asked, in reference to the Kandra being freed in Tress, and what happened. And Brandon basically said there is an event that will happen between eras where, for whatever reason, Sazed lets the Kandra free.
Well, we start to see that a little bit.
No, like right now they're still under contract with Sazed.
No, but I'm saying at the end of Lost Metal, he's starting to give the Kandra a little bit more freedom because he is like he sends MeLaan out into the greater Cosmere to go start like exploring places.
But he still sends her. I think the WOB was like he
still sends her, but at that point, but I think he's starting to we kind of see that like starting. That's
I think the
that's
WOB
all.
was more so he doesn't do that. He doesn't really talk to the Kandra. He doesn't use them as his hands anymore. And that's the thing with why it's Pathians versus Survivorists, is because the Pathians are Harmony's religion, kind of. And I guess the Survivors are the more popular ones, so it's easier to pit them against them.
If we could pivot back to what might have happened between like Kelsier and Sazed, I think imagine you're this crafty individual who always finds a way to get what he wants, and you're pretty much stuck as a ghost. But your friend happens to have 2 infinite power freaking gems, and he can't do anything with them because they counteract each other. And you just happen to realize that, he kind of fits more into the preservation category than the ruin one. Maybe I could borrow that from him forever. I think he wanted that. I think he went after it or asked for it and or tried to make it happen, and he was denied because like Sazed couldn't trust him or something, and it like
I mean,
split them
would
up.
you trust him?
I'm not saying I would.
So you're saying that you think that Kelsier tried to take one of the powers. Which power are you saying that Kelsier would have wanted?
I I honestly could go back and forth on it, but my first thought was like preservation, and then I was like, no, because I don't think Sazed could have ruin, like just ruin. Like I don't know.
Also, Kelsier struggled to hold on to preservation like previously when he
Yeah,
held it. Like he was able to do it, but it was difficult for him because he is not aligned to that power.
that's actually a good
Mhm.
point.
Based on the epilogue of Lost Metal, where you have Kelsier and Sazed talking, it's the main thing is Kelsier wants Sazed to be proactive with the powers. He wants to be using them. It's like, hey, autonomy tells her people how to use electricity and what all it can do, and Sazed is purely in no. People have to learn for themselves, free will, and all that. The main thing has to be, in my mind, that Kelsier wants to use these powers. He wants them to be put to use.
Kelsier
Whilst,
wants Sazed to act, and Sazed
yes,
feels like he can't act
I think Sazed
or
does act.
doesn't want to act in the way that Kelsier wants him to.
The thing with, see, this is a more theological discussion on God and free will and the hidden hand that moves us all is, did God put the specific things in our past so that one day we would discover electricity, nuclear energy, whatever comes next? Or did we happen to do that? While in Kelsier's mind, he could just, drop the schematics off public and give them to us.
I
So
wonder, and I've been thinking kind of a lot about god metals lately. And I just popped over to the reference chart to make sure I'm being correct here. I wonder if it's possible at all for Harmony to control his god metal. And if it is, if maybe Kelsier was trying to influence something that way in order to staple himself, or was trying to figure out where the rest of the Lyriceum is, or something along those lines.
Oh, that's cool. I never thought of the physicality of it like that.
Yeah,
Didn't
because
you have
Lyriceum
a theory?
here, on a hemalurgic scale, it steals all abilities, and we know, and this is, like I said, this might be going a little too crazy, but we know that Chris wrote these notes, and we know that at one point Chris and Kelsier worked together, but we don't know on what.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So I'm curious if like any of those interactions might have influenced like what went down, and if it has anything to do with god metals.
Especially considering Chris is technically one of Autonomy's people.
Right, and at this point, I don't think we've seen Lyriceum used as a spike before. So what happened where she knows enough about this in order to put it on the chart, but doesn't know what it does
What
for
if,
Feokimi?
oh, what if like the way in which they worked together was like Kelsier contacted her to like get in touch with Autonomy to like do kind of like a Sunmaker's Gambit thing to like force Sazed to like give him up the power so that they could fight Autonomy.
I know Kelsier is very protective, ironically, and I don't think he would want to bring in more enemies. He seemed very upset that Sazed allowed it to get to that point. I think he's
I think the other question is, how did Kelsier become Cosmere aware?
Well, he met so when he was in the cognitive realm, he meets Chris and Nas when he's wandering around. Um and then he
meets
uh
Elantrians.
meets the Elantrians as well. So I think just him, like, just, like, wandering, like, just being in the cognitive realm, like, he comes across, like, the different, like, world hopper stuff
And
That's
Hoy.
just
and
Hoy.
became more cognitively, more Cosmere aware.
John, anything you would like to add before I bring us to
I-
chapter 12?
I have two quick thoughts. One, to continue on what you're saying. I think touching one of the powers kind of makes you aware, just on an instinctual
Mhm.
level. But also, we were talking about, you know, Kelsier picking up a shard, and I got to thinking, what would be the perfect shard for Kelsier? And there is an obvious answer, and I know there are complications with it, and it sounds like it would be a great basis for a novel, but obviously, Kelsier's natural shard is ambition.
I agree with you 1,000%.
Yeah.
I think that is concept enough for a Cosmere novel, at the very least a novella, right there.
Let's see. Released by Pathians. They don't get along. Really fun. If given the chance, Kelsier would find it really fun to punch Honor next.
Well, I mean, Mayor did say he was going to bring retribution to Scadrial, so
Kelsier is a cat person. He likes noodles.
course
Wait
he
a sec.
does.
Okay, all right, we're getting to.
Kelsier considers guns to be inelegant weapons.
Yeah, they're clumsy
That
and
does
random.
surprise me.
If he were Radiant, he would be either an Edge Dancer, Dustbringer, or Will Shaper. Okay.
I just think Ghostbloods is going to have to address what's happened in the 300 years between Era 1 and 2. I think there's so much potential there, and we're going to have to get some of these answers.
And if he were returned, his name would likely be Lifeseeker.
I think it will. I think that Ghostbloods is like the, probably fulfilling the story he had planned out for it. Because we always talk about how, like, the Wax and Wayne books were kind of like they weren't really planned out. He just seems like he fell in love with the characters. So I could totally see it more picking up those seeds that were planted in, like, Era 1.
Yeah, I really read Alloy of Law this time as kind of like an Isles of the Emberdark situation where this is going to have a bunch of lore drops to give us, to get us through the time before the next one. And I was reading, Brandon said about Shadows of Self, it has less Cosmere-wide significance as far as like the lore drops and things about that. So I'm trying to find that balance between, okay, what here should we be paying attention to? And then what here are we looking too much into for something that doesn't exist?
100%.
Okay.
Always run
I'm going to
that
bring us
with
back to
a
chapter 12.
podcast like this. Like, are you grasping at straws, or like, did you really find out something crazy? Some of the straws we've grasped at have been like shard straws. Like,
There's always another Raffo.
Okay. Chapter 12. Nothing really first three point of views. Okay, so when Innate is Bleeder, this whole time the governor is the Kandra.
Is it really? Oh
yeah.
my gosh, I told you this book is a blur. I didn't remember who the Contra was.
That's who it is the whole time. And so when the whole time.
I'm sorry, he was not on my suspect list.
Sorry to spoil a book you've read before.
I thought it was Ready.
No, Reddy's just an ass.
Yeah.
No, this is my third time reading this book, and I did not remember who the Condor was.
I've had to double check because I didn't really remember either. But when Wax is like, hey, there were 2 Kandras at your party, and he's like, really? That's amazing. I cannot
Wild.
one. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, wow. But then
Crazy.
he's like,
Never
can I
would have
meet
guessed
the other
it.
one?
Yeah,
I'm
can I figure out who says it is sending after me? Which one of my brethren is coming after me specifically so I can plan for them?
Yeah, that's what I'm pretty sure it is. He's like, oh, it's MeLaan. I'm good. If it was Tensoon, I might have to work double time. But MeLaan?
No,
I can
Tetsu's pretty old at this point. He's pretty old and pretty grouchy. He shows up later.
I call dibs. And then, when Innate lists off all the things happening in the city, like, oh, there's food, and there's riots, and all these things, I have to imagine Bleeder's like, yeah, look at what all I've done. There's food missing, there's all these riots. Look at all the things I've done, Wax. So, I was trying to figure out, how did Bleeder have enough time to go be the Pathian and then also be Innate at the party?
Well, remember, Bleeder leaves the party.
But she gets in the...
She slips away from from Wayne.
Yeah, but she was with Demi or Derm, the bodyguard, the whole time.
Well, it does mention that the carriage must have taken a long way back, because when Wax finds it, he's surprised it has only gone like so far. So it could be he was like, hey, I need to take a pit stop somewhere, or that they stopped for a while, because Wax thinks about how strange it is that it was so slow.
I guess, maybe. In my mind, it
Also,
had to be...
is the bodyguard in on it?
No, because she later kills him to hide the fact that she had blood on her hands or something. Like, the only way it makes sense to me is that she did the Pathian stuff before coming to the party. Because I can't believe that the bodyguard would leave Innate's side long enough for him to run off, him hurt them, whatever Bleeder's pronouns are, for enough time for Bleeder to run off, turn into Loskpar, who then has enough time to, nail this guy into the wall, do the whole sermon, get into a different cab, leave, give the cryptic message, and then dip, and then get back. Like, the timeline doesn't make sense for me in that regard. Or am I just overthinking it?
Is she a
See, because when
runner?
does the
Priesthood hair,
wait?
because that could make a difference.
When does the party start?
I'm pretty sure she's a steel runner.
She is a steel runner.
Is she currently a steel runner? I think next time we see her, she's a whatever
as far as
Wayne
we
is.
are, yeah. As far as we are aware, currently she's still a steel runner. We don't know when she switches powers, but also, when does the party start? Does the party start after the mists are out?
I know that at 7:12 is when Wax launches them to the top of the tower.
Yeah.
I think it has to be, because wasn't there a line about Miss being in Wayne's bubble when he's...
Yes. That is...
And then the church was doing the Miss Dawn.
Yeah, so the church happened first. So they did that before they went to the party. Yeah. So Bleeder did that, did all that stuff before the party.
So I guess nobody called the police in whatever length of time. Okay.
Well, they did, but Wax didn't learn about it until later.
Yeah. Okay, well, that answers that little mystery in my head.
Yeah, because
Anything?
because Marcy comes back to pick up Steris
Mhm.
after the party, and she's doing that before she goes to the church.
Yes. And of course, there's the random comment of Kelsier ascending.
Oh yeah, what was the context for that?
Well, in the first one, it's literally just a comment of, oh, Kelsier ascended. Like, there's like a one little line, and then later in the other one, you get the full MeLaan talking about it. Because apparently, if you weren't in the fandom of this time, it was well known that Kelsier was still kicking and just doing all these things. And so if you don't have that, and you have not read Secret History, this is brand new information.
Secret History hadn't come out yet when this book was released.
Yeah. So
a lot of people suspected that Kelsier was still kicking around, but I don't think there had been any confirmation that Kelsier was still around.
Mm-hmm. So this is all just based off Brandon.
Then you can also take a lot of this language and think, okay, like what if this is Brandon giving us a nod at the time, and how much of this, because I know when I was reading this, I was assuming this all had to do with, a Kandra running around dressed as Kelsier doing, the resurrected Jesus bit.
Well, that's what apparently the original plot of this book was, is that a Kandra had eaten Kelsier's bones and was insane and thought it was Kelsier.
I think it was going to be Tensoon, too.
Yeah.
Well, that's a switch.
Tensoon was the original, well, not original, but like the Plan B Thydakar. But if Secret History hadn't happened, but
yeah,
I don't know. When I originally read these when they came out, I didn't suspect a thing.
I honestly just thought it was some like weird, like, oh, this is just like their mythology that they believe. Like, this isn't what actually happened. Like, when I originally read it, like that was my
being Survivorist.
Yeah, it was just Survivorist being Survivorist. Oh, they've added more mythology to Kelsier to make him seem more like a god than he actually than a man.
Yeah, like there's still these myths here going around where it talks about people say that like Kelsier appeared to them in the mist.
I have a kind of a controversial take on this that I don't know, it's controversial, but it's just like we kind of have a missed opportunity, I think, for like grand reveal a little bit. It's like it's a little bit muddied where you have like it's like hinted at largely in bands, and then I guess it is revealed at the end, but at the same time, like when should you read Secret History? And it's like I almost wish the reveal that he was still kicking was a little bit stronger, but at the same time, I feel like if it wasn't foreshadowed and breadcrumbed and hinted at so much, it would feel very cheap and very like pulled out of nowhere. So I totally understand how it's done.
I can remember throwing the book down at the end of Bands of Mourning because I did not see that coming at all, and then to later read Secret History and getting that information was ridiculous.
So that came out after?
Yes.
So that's the reveal.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
It was only revealed like when you turn the last page. There was a URL on the page and you had to type in the website in order to even find Secret History. And I am so sad that new fans don't get that experience anymore.
Yeah, because the last page of the book is like the arms, they're so scarred, and then the voice whispered, "Survive." End of book.
Yeah.
And then you look on the back and it says, "There's always another secret."
That's awesome. I had no idea it was like that. That's cool. Because when I got into all this, all those books were already out. Like,
yeah. Well, so that honestly, the release of these books, wild when they came out because it was this book came out, Shadows of Self came out. 3 months later, he drops Bands of Mourning as well, and you're like, wait, it hasn't been long enough for another Sanderson book. What? And then immediately after Bands of beginning drops, Secret History also drops, like basically at the same time. Like
And then we had to wait how many years? But
yeah.
yeah, it's interesting because like the first time I read these books, I was not really taking them seriously because they weren't supposed to be important. You know, it wasn't for me. I only started referring to Ghostbloods as Era 3 last year. And I still usually like mentally refer to it as Era 2, and I've had to shift that thinking. Because yeah, going into these, I was like, oh, this is just a side passion project. These books don't really matter to the overall Mistborn story. And then I know now that makes people really mad when you say that. It's interesting to read these and like see the shift where you know he was like, I'm cooking something here. Oh, by the way, this is important now.
Yeah.
John and Kay
100%.
ranked Alloy of Law of all the books we've read so far, just being the Mistborn trilogy and the two Elantris books, as number 1 of our list so far. Still can't get over it.
I mean, things are going to change when we get into Stormlight. Just hold your horses.
Sometimes it
Okay,
be like that though. It's just like I think when he came up with Lost Metal, it was like when he decided to go glows off with the Cosmere, and I think that's like part of the reason for that is like a good series like for that. Like these guys are so easy to like bite into for a lot of people, and to be now if you're invested in the first 3 books, like you have to kind of engage with everything else to really get that last book.
Mhm. Chapter 13, Pub, Pint. Breeze, Mark of the Spear. Can a Contra get drunk?
If it wants to.
How old are
Yeah, because
they
they do have like all of the organs like of a human. So they do have like a liver and everything. So to process alcohol.
I mean, they could even influence their body in a way to get drunk faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think MeLaan has.
I love that she could make herself into any body and she chose to be a tall babe. Like, I love that they're just like, we're all going to be tall. This is going to be great.
That's really
I
well
also
in
I I also really like the fact that like in her description, not only is she like very tall, she also has like large, they describe her eyes as being large, which thinking back to Era 1, when we see MeLaan in Era 1, she has a tall wooden true body with large eyes as well. So like this is clearly like something that she like likes to do. This is how she likes herself to be presented as. And we've seen this since 300 years ago. Last summer.
Also, like, and I don't know how far I want to go. I like a sex positive, body confident shapeshifter character, who they are, because it's fairly easy to go just, oh, they're a shapeshifter, they can go between the different genders, oh, just make them gender fluid, non-binary. They don't have a preference. I like a shapeshifter that has a preference but can do either. So I kind of like that MeLaan is like really comfortable in this true body of hers. As Kay pointed out, like 300 years, and this is the body she likes.
And we've seen that bit of I don't even know if it's accurate to call an identity crisis with Bleeder, but how do you find your own identity when you're always pretending to be someone else?
Mm-hmm. Vandal is referenced. That's the one who shows up in bands. He's the one who has Breeze's hands. Vandel, whatever his name. I love how it's always focused on, you got to remove the spike. Nobody talks about adding a spike.
Well, it would be a spoiler if they did.
I know. I'm applauding the build up to it and how he's making us look the one way and then blindsiding us from the other. And I don't know, the Kandra term for remarked duplicity threw me off.
You're still going on about that?
I was very confused by it. It was just such a random set of words, and then I was like, "What the fudge is that?"
It's gonna be an Era 3 band name. Just watch.
I was gonna say that was Brandon's high school band. Remark duplicity.
I wonder if that's a magic card.
That would be so on brand.
It would be.
Yeah.
I searched up remark duplicity. The only things I'm getting are Cosmere.
Okay, probably not then.
Wow, really? So that band name's not taken? Hold on, guys. I gotta go create an LLC.
Tensoon's actions in the events of the Cassandra came to be known by the Kandra as remarked duplicity, and that is the only line on the Coppermind about it.
I just think it's interesting. The harmony is all about, I'm not going to interfere with anyone or anything, but yet didn't release the Kandra.
Well, yes and no, because yes, but he doesn't force them. He talks to them as, granted, as God, and asks them to do his things, but he doesn't, inject fingers into the back of their skulls and make them do what he wishes. And I think that might be, sorry.
That, and at the time of the Cassandra, there probably was a big, sociological crisis among the Kandra of, what do we do? They probably wanted a familiar something, so that probably led to a new contract.
It did.
Yeah.
Well, Alrian spends a good chunk of this point of view talking about, hey, a lot of the older Kandra, they don't have personalities. They don't know who they are unless they are. Who did I say?
Alrian.
He's also a Kandra.
Yeah. Where did I even pull that from?
Secret history.
Oh man, you just put a thought in my head. Can a Kandra carry a human child? Did we discuss this already? I feel like we have.
That is
it was answered at Dragonsteel Nexus 2024.
I should start reading WOBs.
Yeah, but they're not supposed to drink if they're doing that. It's all connected. Cosmere Connections.
For a Kandra, pregnancy really just is an infinite body glitch.
Yeah, well, it begs the question, if two Kandras are in loop form and go at each other, what happens?
I mean, when a mommy Kandra and a daddy Kandra love each other very much.
I do kind of appreciate Wayne for being open to dating MeLaan, even though she is effectively a slime.
You have to find someone who's going to match your freak.
Exactly. If a woman was interested in me, period, I would be into it.
She's picking up what he's putting down.
A woman who can change her anatomy, they're getting up to freaky stuff too.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. I don't even want to know what weird things Wayne is asking about.
Complete side note, and I'm going to change the topic. But I find it funny that in this chapter, MeLaan mentions, and she's like, haven't you read the Historica? And then later on, Wax is like, mentions something that happened in the Words of Founding, and she's like, oh yeah, I haven't read that. She's like, in this, she's like, didn't you read this book? And later on, she's like, oh yeah, no, I haven't read that one. And he's like,
Wax is like, it's boring though. Come on.
Yeah. Which is I just thought that was funny. That
I will say, it's really weird. You go from literally like the worst Wayne POV section to possibly the best representation of Wax and Wayne in the next chapter, with all of the stacking of the
Posters.
coasters. That's the word. Thank you. Because you get like the representation of Wax being skill, Wayne being trickery, and there's the comment on Wax doesn't cheat, and he's like, yes, I do. I just know when to do it, like when hiding a spike in a bullet. And it kind of sets up this how these characters work. And you have MeLaan, who's matching and even being as crazy as Wayne and enjoying humanity. Then you have Marasi, who's now become the mother when apparently Wax stops becoming the father. It's just this point of view is probably the best representation of these characters throughout the entire thing. So thank you, Jen, for giving me them.
No
These
problem, buddy.
chapters have me wondering what Wayne really thought about Leslie, because I don't think we've ever really seen them interact in any of the flashbacks, because we're seeing here that he's like extremely hostile towards Steris. And I'm curious if maybe there are any of those tensions before between Wayne and Leslie, and then if he kind of has this, maybe like, not like has his friend back, because Wax and Leslie were together for like 17 years, but what that dynamic could have been like, and if that is influencing anything now as well.
I think that because Wayne started following Wax around only shortly before Wax met Leslie. So like Leslie was in Wayne's life for a very long time. So like I'm guessing that he probably didn't have the same kind of like reaction to her as well, because Leslie was part of that world. As opposed to Steris, who is not at all.
I think that's the big thing, is Steris is noble. She's hoity-toity. She's in Ellendale and living the sophisticated life, whilst Leslie would have been pretty much like Renette. He might have had a crush on her, to be honest.
I don't think so.
I think he would have respected the fact that, you know, she and Wax were dating, but I'm pretty sure Wax would think any woman that would shoot him is hot.
That was my first thought, is if she could shoot him. Probably did shoot him at some point, but
considering he heals, it's hard not to. Chapter 14. There's a brief little line about detritus, which just threw me off because I only know that word from the Cytonic series.
Oh, that's actually like a term.
I did not know that.
Well, now you do.
Detritus.
Don't worry, I didn't realize odium was a real term for the longest time either.
Waste
I actually had to look that one up.
I
found that out in my Latin class when it popped up. And I was like, oh, that's what that means. And I was like, oh, that makes so much sense.
I came across the word egalitarianism in these chapters, and I was like, I've never been quite sure exactly what that means. So it's like basically, wanting to be inclusive, and it's like a good word that I don't hear enough anymore.
There's a point where Kaladin actually is talking to someone. He goes, have you ever heard the term odium? Not just the term, but something like called that. And I was like, wait, it's a term? And that's when I looked it up.
I see in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., there's a season where they're in space and there's like a drug called odium or something, and that was the first time I heard it outside the Cosmere. John, are you talking about the scene where he first says it to Syl and then she hisses and runs away?
I think that is the scene, yeah.
It's like,
He's like, not just the feeling or,
do you know odium? And then she hisses and goes,
yeah.
Ashweather, set, carriage, and coach. Directly related. Love that. Coach number 16. So the person runs up and they're like, hey, Clairvont's is letting out. Clairvont's Theater is an arts establishment located at 1818 Bonweather Way. It hosts the opera A Hero of Ages in 342. I look up every single name that I come across now. This stupid.
I did that too. Like in the first one, there's the wedding, and it's between like a Josh and Michelle, and I'm like, these have to be real people. You can't tell me there's a dude hanging out on schedule named Josh.
Yup. And it is. It is a reference. Like every time. I wish we would go more into like the Allomancy laws and all the rules, but no time for that. Nothing else. Then you got the MeLaan and Marasi scene. Is this like the only time they really have a scene together?
I think this is the first time two female characters have talked in this series.
Renette and Marasi. Wait. Did they talk?
I don't think they have a one-on-one.
Okay.
I think she's talking to Wax the entire time while Renette is tinkering and like Wayne is bothering her.
Yeah, I don't think her and Renette have in Alloy of Law.
Yeah, so this is the first time.
We've never seen a conversation with her and Steris.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. We have the Steris point of view where she's just like, get in the cab, something horrible's happening.
Classic.
There's no way. Yeah, I guess. But it passes the Bechdel test because they don't talk about a guy or relationships.
Well, it's getting in the car to probably go see.
Well, either time. The MeLaan one as well. They're talking about politics and, faith. Granted, I think the amount of it's really like Steris, Renette, Marasi, and MeLaan. That's been it.
We do have, I think it's great that every female character in this series is a girl boss.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean,
and then you've got Wayne.
Yeah.
Wayne is also a girl boss. He's an honorary girly pop. What? He recognized good heels when he saw them. Beginning in chapter 12, he's like, those shoes look comfortable. Where can I find them?
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. Valid.
He knows the importance of a good pair of heels.
Good pair of black heels that go with everything.
Yeah.
That is true.
Wayne.
Then you got the.
There's something about Wayne. It's like having him. It's like, okay, you have how we were just talking about, like, oh, the Bechdel test, like, and this idea of like, is there any scenes where these females are actually interacting with each other? And then on top of that, to have Wayne be who he is, it's so like, it's like just putting pressure right on that. It's crazy.
I'm pretty sure if Wayne was there, it would not have passed the Bechdel test.
He's such a goofball and zany, but you can't help but love him, and he's an absolute sweetheart. But like we were
when he's not with
earlier, like, yeah, he comes a long way, I think, in the next couple books.
The thing is, like, when he first meets Marasi, he's very much just objectifying her. Anytime he meets Steris, he's just this complete and horrible person to her. And then his other relationships are trying to hit on a lesbian and harassing a girl because he killed her father.
Everyone needs hobbies.
His relationship with the female characters are not good ones.
Well, and then that you have to add in, I killed your daddy, here's some money.
Yeah. Alriandra. Yeah, that one.
That's what I mean. It's like he's not helping.
Yeah. It's really amazing that Sanderson was able to give such a really not great character, but make him the most lovable character of this quadrilogy. I don't know why I had to look up to count to 4.
I love that you use that term too, because in my brain it's the standalone plus the trilogy. Which, speaking of that, is it concerning anyone else that they've just completely forgotten all the missing women?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, no one is investigating it, no one has mentioned them. Harmony doesn't seem to care.
Yeah. Well, there was the line, I think the only other line you get that Harmony is doing something is that all the other Kandra in the city are also looking out for Bleeder. And that's like the only other sign you get that Harmony's proactively taking part in this.
Well, it's interesting too that this is what he's deciding to intervene on.
Yeah. But this is like one of his tools. I don't want to say tools. One of his. This is the left hand suddenly starting to slap people, whilst every other time it's the things the left hand is doing stuff with that are acting up with.
And I agree with that. It's also, and a big theme we're seeing in the Cosmere, right, is immortality is dangerous. Like, we do not have any fully sane immortal characters. And 50 pages or so before this, you have Harmony giving a speech about how he's been too good on humanity and you need struggle in order to have invention. And now you're starting to have uprising. I have a whole thing on invention with that there, but now you see that struggle and that strife is happening. And now he's trying to stop it when 50 pages ago, he's like, you guys need this. So I think it's also showing a little bit of, yeah, like him becoming unstable. But those different priorities, I think, are interesting too, because you have the set essentially going to breed an army of Allomancers versus a rogue Kandra.
Thing is, we have to remember in bands when he and Wax are in the, having their spiritual conversation, he's like, I did all of that purposely so you would be at that point. Because would you rather have had her suffer under control or killed by somebody else? He sets all of these up so these specific events happen. I have complete trust in Harmony and Sazed to do what is best for his people. And through that, even though it looks like he might be going crazy or things might be happening out of his control, it does create that struggle. It does lead to, taking down corrupt leadership and tightening down on that. And the radio, they have the telegram we see in this one. Like later, they create the radio in the next book. I have complete trust that he has all this planned out and it's all going to work.
So here's my question for the group. Now that we have a little more clarity on the timeline, are you looking at Harmony's actions differently than you did before?
Nope, I trust him.
I'm not, because I didn't really consider it before. Like, none of the past 5 minutes worth of conversation occurred to me the first time I was reading it. And to be even more, like, candid, I just now realized that they were ignoring all of the kidnapped women. Like,
yeah.
I'm oblivious sometimes. This is one of those times.
John, you have to remember women.
I do. I can't not remember them. I would turn off the background, but then you'd see all of my girlfriend's clothes that are being sorted and packed and rummaged through and making it very claustrophobic in this room.
I thought you were gonna say all
But
of your girlfriends.
to be fair, it's gonna be when she's all done, it's gonna be good because she's trying to do like a custom setup in her closet. So, but anyway, that was a total tangent. Apologies.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like the police aren't talking about the missing women or anything, but I've been paying attention to when, like certain people might be showing up in scenes and trying to like exactly place timeline things. But I'm trying to think about this with what Harmony knows what else is going on in the Cosmere and if that's changing, maybe wanting to speed up technology all of a sudden, or wanting to let go of a little bit more control, or things going on with Kelsier.
I'm pretty sure Sazed would have to know. Like, I know there's the excuse of the Bavadidium spike, and it would protect her from his gaze or whatever. But surely he's well aware of the corrupt leader of his city, and I'm pretty sure he would notice if every while that leader just turns into a pile of bones and disappears. I gotta believe that Sazed is well aware of everything, but he's doing it this specific way. So whatever can happen the next stage of, Wax's life, his character arc, whatever. Continues.
Are you saying, reader, that you think that Sazed lied?
Yes.
I love that.
I think Sazed will lie if it's for the betterment of people. Because what if lying to Kelsier about you're not going to get a body back led to him doing whatever he did to make the medallions and giving that to the Malwish people that helped them survive?
But here's my question. Sazed wants Bleeder stopped. So what would be his motivation for lying to Wax about where Bleeder is?
Because he wants Bleeder stopped in a way that will help Wax, that will help her, that also gets it so Marasi moves forward with her investigation and leads to probably a returning of, not a returning, but a revolution of why is the word escaping? Corruption, anti-corruption. Wow, it's really difficult when that word escapes your mind in 2026. Like anti-corruption laws and setting up this new leader. Because doesn't Aradel become the next governor?
If I remember, yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't Aradel become the next governor? The guy who's currently the boss of Marasi?
I think that is correct.
Yep, after the downfall.
Like I said, this series is a complete blur right now to me, so I'm grateful for the reread. So you could tell me pretty much anything happening, and I would probably be on board and agree with you.
But I believe Sazed is doing all of this so specific things can happen. And be it he has to lie or trick or fool, the hand is guiding you towards the best possible outcome. I know that's ironic coming from a religious person, but
I think he might potentially blow his own religion doing that too.
I've always kind of,
when you,
yeah, I don't know. I don't want to cut you off. I'm sorry.
Oh no, sorry. Because when you're a god who's just been the provider, right? Like he's blessed the soil, everything's always in abundance. Things have been going really great. And now if you have a god that, is purposely now trying to ruin things, he might just destroy his own religion in the process.
Well, it's purposeful ruination towards better preservation. Kind of.
I don't think your everyday guy is going to get that, though.
That's the thing about faith that doesn't need to be gotten.
I just think we'll see people. I wouldn't be surprised if we see more of a shift towards survivorism.
Well, the thing with Pathianism is that they don't worship harmony. They just do better, is their whole thing. And that's a whole big thing of survivorists not understanding, is that it's just you get to talk with God whenever you like, and you try to be better. Like, there's no worshiping harmony aspect, kind of. I feel like this is just a religious and theological debate.
It's definitely branched into that territory a little bit. I was thinking kind of along the lines of like the original Terrace prophecy. Like, who came up with that? I don't really think it was like Laris. Like, or if it was, the way that it all worked out, where everything came together, seemed something beyond like any of the shard holders.
It was preservation who originally laid
So that
out
was
the Terrace prophecy.
so that was all preservation. That was all Laris.
Yeah.
He gave it, Laris gave prophecies to the Terrace priests, and then they kept it for centuries.
Mm-hmm.
So that does kind of seem to suggest like just shards are thinking that far ahead.
Well, it depends. So Lara preservation was very, very good at seeing into the future. Was the different shards have different abilities to see into the future. All of them can, but some of them can do it better than others. Laras in particular was very good at seeing into the future. Ruin AT was not as good at seeing into the future. So he could see a little ways, but he couldn't see as far as Laras could.
So Sazed thinks he's really good, but he's not. Potentially.
So yeah, so the question with Sazed is did how far into the future can Sazed see? Like,
Pretty sure
is he as good as Laras is, or is that kind of counteracted by the ruin power as well? Or does it have more to do with the vessel versus the powers, with the ability to see into the future?
Do with like the intent. Okay, I think we're getting far off. We should probably wrap up soon. But the intent of preservation's future sight is, how do I make sure things stay so you can see far off? Whilst ruin's future sight is, how do I make things ruin? And that could be as easy as, setting off some dynamite next to a dam. And so I think Sazed, having both of those, is able to see the far off future, but as well as what are the chaotic human choices that can affect that future. So he's able to see both, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I have full faith, boy. He's gonna roll up on retribution ready.
So he doesn't roll up. I refuse.
Can you imagine?
Fire with his nuke.
Can you imagine, like, space age? They're having like a planetary meeting, and just the shards spawning in for whatever galactic meeting. We have the like Skadrian delegate, and then Sazed's there, and then you have to deal with gods showing up, like the scene in Wind and Truth, where just, hey, cultivation is in the upstairs room right now. Just how cool that would be, like a galactic meeting with the gods of the Cosmere.
It's only a matter of time.
It'll be interesting to see if harmony, kind of like we have this thing of shards creating sentient life out of their powers. We have the Spren, we have what I'm assuming the Sleepless are belonging to some shard or another. So it'd be interesting to see if Harmony winds up creating some, some new little guys to send out there.
That could be interesting. Anything from you, John?
No, I'm busy thinking about what kind of weird things Harmony might come up with.
Good boy. Okay.
Babelfish.
I think I'm going to stop us there. That's good. 'Cause I feel we could all just talk long-term Cosmere.
Yeah, I was like, we've just had some good conversations. Just
Yes.
maybe not related to these chapters a whole lot, but good conversations.
Yeah. It's fun. That's going to just about cover it this episode. Thank you so much for joining us in our ramblings and predictions. This has been Cosmere Connections plus the Literary Trope, and we hope to see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
I mean,
Bye.
I would get slime.
Bye.
So now we typically just take like a bathroom or drink break, and then when we come back, then it will be spoilers. Sorry.
You guys edit whatever out you need. I am not offended by anything.
Well, in that case,
Seriously, it takes a lot to offend me.
it's really Swiggity. You look like Ox, the Ox plushie.
The Ox plushie. I think you're gonna have to be harsher than that.
I'm usually the nice one. Kay's the one that's always putting.
Now, if you said I look like the cryptic plushie, then I mean, like, I kind of had the cool like Eldritch horror thing going on, but we might throw some hands over that.
Hey, at least I'm not filled with drugs.
I love that troll plushie.
God,
Gosh, going through airport security was hilarious that day.
I got the super special pat down at the airport because I was wearing my Knights Radiant hoodie. They had to pat me down because it set off the sensors. And the TSA agent gave me a whole lecture about how you shouldn't wear a hoodie through airport security.
What?
And someone told me that the Radiant Order socks also set off the airport scanners.
Really?
Yeah,
I don't know if
these
I've
are
ever
light
worn
weavers.
those through security.
You can't bring light weaver stuff through security. That's against protocol.
And then someone's like, I like the pattern on your shirt. And I'm like, is this like code right now? Or are you just like, I like the design?
You're like, you mean pattern the Spren? And they think you're insane?
Yeah.
And she was the gate agent and she scanned my thing and she's like, oh, don't you have another person traveling with you? I'm like, no. She's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know if it was just a really weird interaction or if somehow I didn't block it.
I would say this past year, what set off the TSA scanners was they gave us the book stamp, the stamp for the book, and those set off the TSA scanners.
Well, that's like legitimately a weapon. I think like, I put that in my checked luggage because I'm like, I'm not even gonna risk it.
Yeah. Which, like, that would made sense that set off the scanners. Like,